Welcome, Adam. Welcome to Nothing Conversation. I am so happy to have you here as my guest. So delightful to have this opportunity to speak with you. Your name was the first name that popped up in my mind when these guys from Nothing, this amazing team, offered me to make such a conversations. So big thank you and welcome.
Thank you for inviting me, Luchana. So lovely to be with you.
Yeah. Same here. So let me ask you, the first question is, what was the story behind the name Adam?
And you know I normally don't answer this question, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason, I want to just sort of say that, often when a teacher shares their story, it can sound like this is what's supposed to happen for people.
Yeah.
So other people then when they hear the story, make their experience wrong, and they say, I should be having the experience that this person's having. So I just want to say that if I share my story, I'm not in any way saying that my story or my path is more valid than yours or anyone listening. Your experience is totally valid and your path is totally unique. It's not supposed to look the same as mine.
Beautiful said. Yeah, beautiful said. And okay, I will try another one with the story. So how the story, Adam was a university professor of political theory, became Adam CHACKSFIELD, a non-dual teacher. How long is that one?
Yeah, so I was working on my PhD, and actually I finished my PhD. I was had my first academic job, and I had an experience with MDMA for the first time, ecstasy, and I experienced this incredible heart opening, and reconnected with love, with the experience of love, like knowing myself as love, knowing, falling in love with everything, everyone. And after that experience, I found that I had this, like this love had awakened within me. I had access to it now. Like the world didn't appear as it did before that experience, where I was very much sort of shut down and, in my head and academic, and everything was about theories and ideas and beliefs. So suddenly it was like, oh, love exists. Oh, this is what I want, like more than any of the stuff that I like, my brilliant ideas I care less about. Like love is what matters. So this really sort of turned my life on its head. It was just like suddenly I was in a totally different way of being in the world, a totally different way of seeing and experiencing the world. So academia didn't make much sense at that point. So I quit being a professor after a few years. And I became very interested in how do I integrate this experience? How do I? So it was really the start of my spiritual journey. So I took up meditation and so on, and then you have all the different beliefs and teachings, and it's like, there's nothing to do. You shouldn't even meditate, and meditation is the way, and you need to meditate as much as you can. Like all the sort of paradoxes in the teaching, all the contradictory teachings. So it's very confusing. You sort of like try to figure out what's going on. And then I came across the work of Peter Fenner, and very quickly sort of got like, oh, right, this doesn't make any sense. Like this, everything we are doesn't have a map. Like there's no story of this. There's no like perspective on this that's like the truth. Like this is way bigger than anything we can say about it. And all the teachings are just like attempts to support someone. Like they may be useful for a particular time, but they're in no way the truth of what this is. So getting that sort of allowed the mind to fall open, like to give up on the whole project of like, what's the truth of this? What's the like trying to find the real teaching, the true teaching, because there's no such thing. How could there be such a thing? And what is reality? You know, what is the purpose of life? I mean, all that sort of stuff. Like any answer we give is ridiculous. It's so small compared to, you know, what this is. So after that experience, I started doing inquiries with people where we would explore, you know, what is this? What's happening? What are we? And, you know, and open this space of like, wow, we have no idea what's going on, you know, like this. And yes, it was such a quick path. It was like the same space that meditation had opened for me, but it was like so much more direct and powerful. So so that was the start of how I sort of got drawn into non-dual teaching, just sharing this.
Wow, that was beautiful. So probably you've heard there is a message in so-called radical message in radical non-duality. Look, there is no you, everything just happens. There is no free will, no choice that you mentioned in the beginning. But your approach is totally, I'm not saying that it is different, although you don't speak so much. In your meetings and your retreats, people who have the possibility to be with you, I can share this from my experience, you don't speak so much. But I don't know, I just want to, if you can spot on this, are these two ways of pointing the same thing, or what is your message? Is there a message though?
Right. So really there isn't a message in the sense of like, I'm not sitting there with like something I'm thinking like everyone needs to know this, you know, like that's, I don't have that, when it, you know, to even call it teaching, because often we imagine teaching is, oh, he's got something that he needs to say, you know, like some belief or idea that everyone needs to understand. And that's not at all the truth of it. Like we said, there's no final teaching about this that everyone needs to understand at all. So what I'm doing when I show up is I'm showing up as open, as openness, and I'm like meeting whatever's arising in the field when I'm working with people, and I'm sharing whatever feels helpful to share in that moment. So it's very, and you know, and the words are not, it's not really like, oh, these words are so important, it's all about the words. It's much more the energy, it's much more where the words are coming from. So I'm always inviting people to like to sort of tune in to like the energetics, like to feel what's happening, to sort of sense it at a deeper level than the text. So it's not about trying to make sense of the words and fit it into our ideology, our scheme of the universe. If we're doing that, we're not, you know, the opportunity here is much bigger than that whole mental game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know, a phrase I often use in my teaching is effortlessness. You know, so it's like that, yeah, there's nothing we have to do. There's nothing to accomplish, nothing to figure out, nowhere to get to, you know.
Yes, the retreats you holding on are lazy, so kind of lazy retreats. Right. People call them lazy. Yeah, it's interesting when people come from others, let's say, practices, or they expect to find something similar, and suddenly lazy retreat.
yeah, because any goal we set up is false. You know, it's not the ultimate truth. I mean, goals can be helpful, and you know, but really, like the way I hold the space, it's much more about inquiry. So it's, you know, it's like, call it falling open together. So like we're opening to what is. We're letting whatever wants to be revealed reveal itself. So we're just bringing loving awareness to our experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, because any project is small. Any project we have, any sort of project of self, spiritual project, it's not going to, you know, we're imagining something that's like so small compared to what this is. You know, like when we open, we discover what we didn't know. Like it's beyond our wildest dreams. It's like, oh, wow. You know, like, it's like a different plane of existence is opening to us. You know, like we don't have access to it when we're, you know, in this is what reality is. You know, we're just going to the same reference points all the time. So when those open, we're opening into what we didn't know before. So any project can't be what we know. Like it's not a goal that we know what we want. Like it's like we don't know what it is.
So is there such a thing as absolute truth or relative truth, or
yeah, I'm curious what that would be. What would we mean by that? So I mean, again, I can use a word like truth, but you know, but it's like, you know, I'm using it to distinguish something, right? I'm using it to point to something, but it's not like again, like I'm sitting with some idea of like, this is the ultimate truth that everyone must see. It's, you know, that's not how this is. Yeah.
yeah.
Mystery, I think, is a better word, probably more helpful. Like opening to the mystery, opening to what we don't know, being curious. Because as soon as we think we know the truth, then we're like grasping something, you know, we're not going to see what we don't know. We're not open to what's new.
Okay. What was the next question I wanted to ask you? This is happen usually.
So you're going to this place of like, there's no anymore to do.
Oh yes,
You've got to keep generating something.
Is there a deepening in awakening? Some say that there is, and the falling down of the conditioning may last till the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about deepening, we could talk about healing, we can talk about maximizing our potential. You know, there's lots of different ways to speak about it. And again, I just want to point to how they're all limited, they're all limitations in terms of like any image we have of like what we're doing on the spiritual path or what spirituality is about, or any of that is always a limited view of like what the real invitation is here. You know, so but like when people talk about deepening, I think they are pointing to something like there's not a point at which new openings are not possible, that life has ended or something. Like the invitation is, I mean, this is huge. This is like, I mean, how many realms are there? I mean, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. It's huge. So to say like, oh, the journey's over, I've arrived at the final, you know, whatever, is absurd, you know. And the teaching that you know, we're already here, there's nothing to do, is really helpful too, you know, because the invitation to open to this is not doesn't need to come from a sense of inadequacy, like there's something wrong with our experience as we are, or there's something wrong with us. Because that's not true either. We're exactly where we should be. You know, this is what's happening. This is reality. Any voice that says otherwise and says you're not experiencing what you should experience is made up.
Let's speak about this voice. Is this voice real?
Yeah, what is it? That's such a great question, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, often like the conversations people are having in their heads, like, so when we're like hearing conversations or seeing conversations, it's like that's we imagine like that's the voice of God, like that's the voice of the truth about reality, or it's the truth about us. So it's really powerful, right, to see like, oh, this is just an experience, like feelings, like any sensation. It's just something happening, like, huh, interesting, I've got this chattery thing going on, you know. And it doesn't have the authority then that we've typically given it, where we're looking to it as if it has the answers about what's really happening. You know, because what's really happening is so much bigger than the chatter in the mind, so much bigger. You know, and you know what occurs, like sort of the thoughts and images that move through the mind can be helpful. You know, we can actually like you know, have helpful thoughts and helpful images and inspiring ideas. You know, so it's not that we need to stop to shut down the mental realm or something. But to be to notice like what's happening, really, really helpful. Like, especially noticing the voice that's making our experience wrong. The shaming voice that says we're not what we're supposed to be, we're not having the experience we're supposed to be, something should be different about us. Totally false. And it puts us in this impossible position, because it's like, this is the experience I'm having, and there's this voice that I'm listening to telling me this is not the experience that should be happening. It's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Because it's all happening. It's just innocently arising by itself, including the voice. It's like, okay, so this is happening, and I have this ridiculous voice telling me that I shouldn't be experiencing this. How curious.
So it's marvelous that we are not responsible for all these sensations, emotions, thoughts. There is no responsibility, no right or wrong.
Yeah. A direct experience is totally valid, totally innocent. Really, it's such a relief to realize that we're not bad, we're not wrong. Like the possibility of that is like doesn't even exist. Like the possibility of that there's something wrong with our experience doesn't even exist. Like how could that be so? We don't need to worry about that. Like, is there something wrong with me? That's not a question we have to entertain.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh.
Which doesn't mean that we can't regret things that we say or do. So, I might say something to someone, and they have a reaction to that, or an experience when I've said something, and it's not at all what I would have wanted. It's like, and not at all what I intended with the words. So I can totally regret. I can say, "Oh, I'm so sorry I said that. That wasn't what I wanted to say at all." Yeah, because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Totally innocent.
Yeah, that was the word that so Adam's word. I don't know. I've heard this word from you on our first meeting, maybe, when you say that, but you are all innocent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's like seeing ourselves, like without that filter of shame. It's kind of like how we often look at like babies. Like we can just see the innocence. It's so obvious,
Yeah.
And it's like, and we're just grown-up babies, and we're in the same situation. We've got different bodies now, but we're just as innocent. Unfortunately, many of us now have a voice that's telling us we're bad or wrong, and we shouldn't be the way we are.
There is something I wanted to ask about. Can you share something more about the erotic embodiment that you offer lately, about these sessions? This is something not very usual amongst the non-spiritual, let's say, amongst spirituality.
Yeah. I mean, this was
I'm very curious.
Yes, this is, I mean, there have been various openings for me, even since the sort of the non-dual opening where the mind falls open and so on. So there have been all kinds of openings that happened, and one of the most powerful ones was a recent opening around sort of erotic energy. What precipitated that was actually noticing how there was shame around sexuality that I unconsciously held. It wasn't like I consciously thought like, oh, my sexuality is bad or wrong, but I had unconsciously held that shame. And once I saw that and realized like, oh, this is not bad. This is not wrong. This is actually really good. It like wants to be here. It feels good. It's very enlivening. It's very enriching. It's like all kinds of energy was allowed to come through my body that I previously hadn't had access to. And what I realize is that it's a bit akin to like the sort of heart opening. It's like a whole sort of dimension of experience opens up when we're erotically open. Like when we allow ourselves to receive sort of the pleasure of the body, to be sensitive in our genitals, to allow sort of that energetic opening, to allow desire, to allow arousal, to like see it as a good thing rather than like shutting it down or judging it or saying, well, it's okay here but not here. It's like just allowing that, because it's like the inspiration of life. It's like that. It's the energy that makes us want to engage, want to be here, want to create. So it's far too significant and important and powerful and beautiful to not be addressed in my teaching in spirituality. And obviously it's very culturally taboo. There's a ton of shame and fear around addressing sexuality at all. So I really I understand why people want to avoid talking about it or like make it irrelevant or less significant or something, or compartmentalize it, but it's actually so vital. I mean, it is vital energy. So, and what I've noticed is that as I've started speaking about this and offering this, people are really curious, and they're talking about things to me, sharing more around their erotic experience that they had never shared before. There's like this, oh my God, really a safe space to explore this? I mean, people are so hungry for it, and they're terribly scared of it as well. So like, it's such a sensitive area where people have been so shamed, and people often imagine there is some, I mean, when we talk about something wrong with my experience around sexuality, so many people have that. There's something wrong with my sexuality. There's something wrong with the way that I experience arousal. I mean, it's like so ubiquitous. We're all trying to like hope that we're normal.
But what is normal? No one can say.
Right.
What is normal?
Totally. Yeah. We're totally valid. The way that erotic energy moves through us, what turns us on, what arouses us, what inspires us, it's like totally valid, totally normal, whatever form it's taking. And that's so that's the invitation, is to turn with loving awareness to that dimension of our experience.
Yeah, that reminds me of I watched an interview yesterday with an American psychotherapist. I don't know if you heard of him, Robert Saltzman. Never mind, yeah. I will send you later to see his. I was very touched by what he said, but he made this example like, who is there to say what is spiritual and what is not? So you can, if you pray, it is spiritual. If you masturbate, oh no, this is not spiritual. How come?
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And how taboo it is to say that giving pleasure to ourselves is just as valid as meditation.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, how taboo is that to say that? It's like, and to look for we look for these places that have been so separated from spirituality. It's like, what's the thing you can't say in most satsangs? You can't talk about sex.
True.
It's like it's like so separated. So we know that like that's the part that's been buried and rejected. That's and constricted. And it's so beautiful. It's so good. It's like it's actually very hard to enjoy life when we've shut that down, because that's the energy that has us come into life, come into the world. It's like the life energy.
Wow. Yeah.
It's what made us as babies. It's like it's essential.
Again, mystery.
Yeah.
This mystery. Would you like to share something, some plans probably about something upcoming with you? Or you travel a lot, but now we know we know what's going on, but never mind. Hope you can be on the road soon.
I mean, I love in-person events and retreats, especially when we dive deep together, and you know, and the field just goes deeper and opens more and more. It's so powerful, and we call it a lazy retreat, but it's like, you know, there's so much that happens in it.
True.
There's more that more happens because we don't try to do stuff, you know. There's also a new course, Erotic Embodiment and Intimacy, that I'm offering, which is starting at the end of January, the January 31st. It runs 4 months. And it's really an opportunity for us to bring loving awareness to our erotic experience. And what I've done in that is I've sort of traced the sort of different threads of erotic embodiment, like how it happened for me, like the sort of key openings, components of the opening, and then I've invited inquiry around that. So there's going to be different kinds of practices and inquiries for people around these aspects of erotic opening and of erotic embodiment and intimacy. So yes, I'm really excited about that course, and yeah, there's still places left for that if you want to register.
Oh, lovely. And it's available on your website, CHACKSFIELD.com, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And there'll be a new 4-month program as well, Falling Open Together, which, sorry, 3-month program, Falling Open Together, which is people coming together over a 3-month journey just to explore their experience. So that's sort of the broader work that includes erotic embodiment, but it's yeah, like inquiring into everything, anything.
Wonderful.
That starts mid-February.
So I guess I run out of questions. I don't know if you want to add something or share. Just I would like to have you also in my live show, maybe next month or March. We'll see.
Yeah, I would love that.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really sweet just to, you know, experience the space that's opened up between us as well right now. You know, we can sort of feel this like going nowhere, nothing to do. You know, we're just resting together in this openness and this love, softness.
Yeah.
No problem to solve.
None. Thank you so much, Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Luchana.
So much. And hope to see you soon in person.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, just so appreciate your openness and the way you the way that you've just sort of allowed this sharing to unfold between us. Yeah, really beautiful.
It surprised me every time. In the beginning, there is some kind of nervousness, a little bit. It's just like feeling the heart beating and so forth. And then, I don't know, it just happens. Okay, I will stop the record. Much love to you.
So much love to you, Luchana.